Yep.
All right, we'll just open up in prayer and then we'll go from there. I really I hurried too much last time, and I want to give the Tribe of Rueben its due, and I found out, excuse me, a lot of different things, and we'll just go from there. Our Father, our King, we lift ourselves up before you. We ask you to watch over this class, Lord, and we just lay it at your feet, and we ask for you to bless it. And again, watch over us. In your son, Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Okay, I want to go back over the Tribe of Rueben again. The reason why is I heard it last time, and I just really didn't. I left out a lot of stuff. I should have been. But anyway, Reuben was the firstborn, and as we get into Genesis, you'll see that Adonai, she was praying to Adonai, and Adonai saw that she was unloved, so he opened up her womb to conceive, but yet left Rachel barren. And I got to reading about that, and the fact was that I think, number one, I think Yaakov angered God, number one. He didn't respect the fact that she was the firstborn. And if we go according to the way that I think, he's the master of sacred schemes. He's the one that does things, and he had planned out, because he says in the Bible that I knew you before you was born. So he knew the plan that had to be laid out, and he knew that Yaakov had to follow it, and if he would have done that, then everything would have been all right, but he didn't. And anyway, Reuben, if you get the Hebrew spelling, is the Resh, and then it's Aleph, and it's the Vav, then it's the Beit, and then it's the Nun. And if we go like we're supposed to, and Roni, I checked this out. Did you know that there is no chin on this? And that's what threw me off, because if you look in the...
I'll have to look at, I downloaded that whole pictograph book that Marco had in my computer. I'll have to look at it.
Didn't have a chin.
Doesn't have a chin. Well, that's a weird looking
Well,
person.
it's easier for them to do.
For who?
For the guys chiseling, because they chiseled it, and it was easier for them to have to make all that stuff. But anyway,
Well, they must be in the royal family. The Habsburg family has no chin.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but they don't.
But yeah, and Ronnie and I was talking about this too, and it was right after class. In fact, I think that one there is wrong. I think. Yeah, it's a Vav. It's not a Mem. It's a Beit. This is wrong. It should be like this. Like this. Okay. Anyway, that should be this up here. And then the noon should be, of course, the seed. Now we was talking about this, that God had already planned out things, and he had, of course, you could see Yeshua in it, you could see God, the strong head, the tent peg, and then the house, and then the seed. And we was talking about this, that the high priest, which would be Yeshua, God would be the strong head. The tent peg always has to anchor the tabernacle. The tabernacle could not stand without the tent peg. There's no way it could stay up, and that's us. If we aren't anchored in the Word of God, which is our house, then we're going to fall. We can't stand, because we have to stay anchored in it. And then he was going to bring forth, of course, the seed of God in that. In Reuben, I think Reuben, in my opinion, blew it. I think he really did. I think he blew it. God had it planned. When he was born, his name was See a Son, or Behold a Son. Now, what you're going to find out is the studying that I've done the last 3 weeks on this is in the Arabic. And you have to understand the Arabic is Behold the Splendid Son. So they change one word. They go with the ru, and the ban, which would be behold the splendid son. And he gave Reuben of course, well, let's go, the mother's Leah. His birth date was on the 14th of Kislev, 2193, which relates to November the 25th, 1569. Of course, we go to Genesis 29. That tells you that, Adonai saw that Leah was unloved and allowed her to conceive, but yet Rachel was barren. Okay? Now, his downfall didn't start with Joseph. In fact, he was favored for Joseph because he saved Joseph's life, if you want to really look at it. Joseph, he talked him into putting Joseph in the well, and then he was going to come back and get him out at nightfall, but they'd already sold him, and he talked him into selling him, but anyway. He lost his birthright by having the affair with Bela, the handmaiden, and that's where it all began. In fact, Yaakov, if you go to Deuteronomy, I think it's 33, you'll find out he was not blessed. He was passed over, and I think that's what started it, because this name and this tribe and the man, the leader, had the territory. When he come down, he asked that the territory, that they didn't want to go into the promised land. He saw that the territory on the east side of the Jordan was plush, and that the fact that it was green enough for cattle and everything else for them. So they petitioned, they went and petitioned Moshe and asked Moshe to ask God that they be allowed to stay on the east side of the Jordan. And you'll find that in Numbers 32. And it's amazing to me, because one of the things that God said, and does anybody have a Bible ready? Okay. 33, or in Numbers 33, he said that, I believe they petitioned God, and God said that if you stay on the east side of Jordan, which he blessed, and he said, okay, you can stay on the east side of the Jordan, but are you going to stay over here and not go in and fight with your brothers?
33 what?
Numbers 32.
32.
But anyway, he said that they asked, and Gad was the other tribe.
But doesn't it have something to do with their protection also on this
Right.
side?
Well, that's what God had laid out, is the fact that it would be a protective barrier for the children of Israel, that they were to stand up and fight the enemies that come, because you had the Assyrians, all those Turks and everything around them. Mm-hmm. So God was going to use them as a defense for the Promised Land, because they were going to go in and battle in the Promised Land. They had a 6-year battle ahead of them in the Promised Land. But what you'll find out is that
the Antichrist comes from, he has to be a Syrian also.
Yeah, well, we're going to go through that. But what's important about Reuben, the territory that God gave him, was the fact that in that territory was, and I was talking to Pastor Charles, is Mount Nebo. What's important about Mount Nebo?
You stood on it, I didn't get to.
I stood on it.
On the first trip over, we didn't.
Moshe. This is where God took Moshe, and he looked at the Promised Land, and we stood on it. Of course, that day it was, you can't see as far as it did, but this is where Moshe seen all the way from here to Dan, which is way up. We've been up by Dan. It's up on the Golden Heights. And what's amazing is that when we went up there and looked, you think all of the stuff around it right now is nothing but desert. It's just desert. So